Welcome back to Morning Joe. Joining us now, Republican Congresswoman from Tennessee, Representative Marsha Blackburn, on the set with us today. Good to have you.
It's good to be with you.
Happy President's Day.
Indeed, and I'm going to bake my cherry pie.
Oh,
okay, very good.
I would like a piece of that.
Yes.
Let's look at, we visited the story at the top of the show pertaining to the UAW and just even the numbers alone in terms of the diminishing. I mean, if you look at, for example, I think since 1979, the membership is down 400,000. It in alone is having a hard time staying afloat. Is it fair to say?
I think it is fair to say that, because even if you look at what had happened with GM and the Saturn plant and their arrival in Tennessee 30 years ago, believe it or not.
Unbelievable.
And what you see, they had a different contract and had gone in and made some adjustments, and more workers, more individuals want to have say over their own productivity. And I think that's one of the reasons that you're seeing the diminishment. And individuals, some of these production teams say, look, if we achieve certain output levels in production, we want to be rewarded for that.
So let's explain to everybody. I mean, obviously UAW had a vote. They were going to try to unionize the Volkswagen plant. Volkswagen stayed out of it and basically let them do what they wanted to do. 2 years of lobbying, millions of dollars spent. At the end of the day,
what's the message here?
The voters, the workers decided they didn't want to unionize, and that was seen as, how important is that for automakers and, more importantly, workers across the Deep South, in your opinion?
In my opinion, what you saw was this massive effort, 89% participation from all the workers, which was really quite phenomenal. And they sent the message that they like things the way they are. They're delighted to have VW there, they're delighted to have the jobs, but they don't want to change their work environment. Also, for all of the companies that are tied back in to the auto manufacturing industry in Tennessee, 33% of all manufacturing jobs are tied to auto. What they were saying is, we like having this production here, the jobs, being within a 500-mile one-day drive to Detroit for parts and replacement. You look at what's happening in Alabama and Mississippi with production. You have so many of these manufacturers in Tennessee that are saying, we like it like it is, let's not
all
mess
across
it up.
the Deep South,
So,
Mika.
yeah.
Big growth.
Mark, I'm going to read and toss to you here just a part of the Wall Street Journal. We read it in the first block, but American manufacturing is making a modest comeback with the help of rising labor costs in China and the American energy revolution. But it could stage an even bigger revival without the threat of that unions could once again make American production uncompetitive. The last thing the U.S. economy needs is to import European labor practices. In Chattanooga, and not for the first time, the workers are smarter than management.
The American labor union movement is laying on its back, and the Wall Street Journal editorial page is putting its boot on its neck to try to keep it down there. Do you think the unions are good for America? Would you like to see more unions in Tennessee, or are you like the Journal and say there's really no place for them in your state?
What I would like to see is greater output and more exports. I would love for a lot of the manufacturing to come back on shore and for us to repatriate some of those jobs.
But is that compatible with unions?
I would, maybe some of the unions will say, okay, let's see how we can work with you to be more competitive, have a product that is going to be more competitive. That would be good for everybody.
But right now, as it stands, it's incompatible.
It is, because the labor costs are driving up the cost, and whether it is clothing manufacturing, auto manufacturing,
I mean, it's not a coincidence that all these auto plants over the past 30 years have been going to Tennessee instead of Connecticut, Alabama instead of New York, you name it. I mean, they're going to the Deep South.
Absolutely. And for people who may be from the Northeast or the Midwest, where unions are just so entrenched in their culture, can you just explain a little bit about how the culture in the South views unions and why it's been so difficult for UAW and other unions to break in there?
Yeah, one of the things I think is so important there is that employers in the South are very relational and have great relationships with the individuals that are working in their companies, and people like that. People also like to be rewarded for the work they do. Another thing is the business environment. Tennessee has the lowest debt of any state in the country. We're also in the top 5 for business, top 5 for lowest taxes, top 5 for shovel-ready certified industrial sites. So you have all of these good things that are positives that make it easy for companies to do business. Our governor, Governor Haslam's doing a great job. And you can go all the way back to when Senator Alexander was governor and brought the first Nissan facility into the state. We have had people that have been committed to growing jobs there in Tennessee and for increasing export. We've increased our exports 20% over the last 5 years.
All right, Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, thank you. Good to see you.
All right, great to see you, Marsha.
Good to be with you.
Looking forward to the cherry pie.
Yeah, I need some of that.
Absolutely, and the story of George Washington.
There you go.
There you
All
go.
right.
Still ahead. We all know parents shape their kids' lives. But what about the other way around? Author Jennifer Senior is back to explain why it's all joy and no fun.
I've had so many
Children
people
these days.
talk about her.
She's fantastic. Yeah, we have to have her back.
She basically tells
I
parents
need
to
help.
grow up.
Oh, we need to grow up.
All right.
On a consistent basis. Thank you, Alex. We'll be right back.